everybody, this is Joseph Propati, and today I'm going to be doing an instructional and playthrough video for the game Dice of the Living Dead. This is the second edition of the version of the game. It was designed by Mads Brynum, and this version went through a major overhaul with the art. All the components got this great new looking art, and what I wanted to do was kind of just cover the game, show you, talk about it, go through the setup, the rules, and then go through one of the district cards for a playthrough. Just so you could get a better understanding of the rules and how the game plays, and open it up to more people so they'll give it a try. This is a free P&P that you can download from Board Game Geek. Just look for Dice of the Living Dead 2nd edition, and give it a try. It's a great game. It's a lot of fun. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and we'll talk about the game. So, Dice of the Living Dead. It is an apocalypse zombie survival game where you're going to try and move through 4 districts to bring your survivors that you're helping move through the districts to an extraction zone. The victory conditions of the game are you need to make it through 4 districts, get to the outskirts, and reach the extraction zone with at least 1 survivor. So the game starts with 12 survivors, and you have supplies, 6 supplies, and 6 ammo. And I'll cover that on the setup. But the losing conditions are if you either run out of time as you're moving through the districts, or if you lose all your survivors, you lose the game. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and cover the game. So, Dice of the Living Dead. So, again, it's P&P, so you can download everything from Board Game Geek. It's a dice game. Now, I'm just going to point out, I've made some engraved dice for the game. You don't need these to play. They're kind of cool, but it just uses 6-sided dice and with some different colors. And I'm going to talk about, let's give a little quick overview of the game and the story. So, the story. Zombies have overrun your hometown. You're grouped up with other survivors, and you now have to make your way to the outskirts of town and escape the undead menace. On your way, you have to fight zombies, search for survivors, and dole out your limited supplies. Every turn, you roll the dice trying to find the right balance between moving fast, but still having the time to fend off zombies. But just as every roll of the dice can help you, it also holds certain risks. So, Dice of the Living Dead. Let's talk about the components. Well, primarily it's a dice and card game, so we'll talk about the dice. You need, at a minimum, 8 dice. So there are red, which will be the zombie dice. Okay. You'll have blue, which is your timer dice. And then you have a black die, which is your scavenger dice. And then these 5 white dice are your survivor dice. Now, one of the cool things is your player sheet has all the details on what the dice pips mean. So whenever you roll, you'll understand what is represented on that die roll. I also like to keep a little extra survivor dice to cover if you have more than 6 zombies. You can use the red dice for going beyond 6, and then some extra dice that you can use while you're fighting zombies. So I set those off to the side. But you definitely need your primary 8 dice. You'll need a little player piece. This is going to track as you move through the districts. We have our cubes. These represent the pink that I use are the survivors. The purple ones, you can use any colors you want, but purple are the infected survivors. Then here we have Blue ones I use for ammo, and then these brown ones are your supplies. Those are your components that aren't with the P&P. Now, the pieces that go with the P&P are your cards and your printout. So first we'll talk about the district cards. So there's a number of district cards. These are what you need to travel through as you're taking your survivors through your hometown. There's a certain amount of information on these, and I will go over it with the rules, but just real quickly, over here you have the time that you'll set, and this is what you need to make it through this district before that time runs out. The red area here is your starting location. This green one is the safe house. The arrows will show your path, and then these little zombie heads are zombies that attack you as you either move into it or move through it. Whenever you move into it and stop there, it'll be 2 zombies. If you move through, and it'll be 1 zombie. So that's kind of the information that's on your district cards. And then, obviously we have a number of these. And you'll be going through 3 individual ones plus this outskirts. This will always be the last one you'll go through. Then we have our player reference card. This is where it lets you know what your phases are per turn. This is where you'll have your time dice for the reference of these district cards. This is where your supplies and your survivors and infected. So you'll have your human survivors here, or healthy survivors, your infected survivors, your supplies, and your ammo. And then whenever you're rolling your dice, whenever you get zombies, you'll put them here. Whenever you have your movement dice, you'll put them here, and then these will be your fight dice. Again, this is all your reference for whatever you roll. Let's talk about the cards. So, event cards. These will turn up whenever you reach the safe zone. So when you get to the safe zone, you'll turn over an event card, and you'll keep turning it over until it references the district that you're at, and then you'll go through and see what it is. You must get through that as one of the tasks when you have your safe house. Stress cards. These happen when you pass a zombie. We either land on or pass a zombie. You will flip over a stress card, and then it will reference what is happening with a play when. So, for example, combat panic. You pass a zombie, you flip this over. Play when you are in combat and don't have a 6 showing after reroll. So, if that hasn't happened, there will be no effect. But this will stay in play until the turn is over, because that play when effect could happen throughout the whole turn. So those come out when you cross paths with a zombie. Then you have your character cards. There's 6 characters that you can play in the game. They have abilities, things that affect their play during the game. That can either be used once, or there's affects their rolls. Just these are things that happen that you have to reference either during combat, during movement. So all of them have special little things. Either it could be positive or negative. So you'll pick one of those, and then you have your item cards. There's only 4 items that can occur during play that you may acquire. And then we have our exploration tokens. These, for example, when you cross over a exploration space, you'll flip this over and then say, oh, hey, I found 1 ammo. So these are things that can either add more zombies to you or give you some supplies. So kind of nice things as you're moving through. It's kind of something you found, and maybe you were doing some searching and you found something. So those are the initial components. That's what you'll need. You can print these out, and the rest you can have as components that you'll add to the game. But that's what you need component-wise. Let's go ahead and we'll talk about setup and the rules. Hello again, this is Joseph Propati, and I'm going to cover the setup section of the game Dice of the Living Dead, again, 2nd edition. So we have all of our components printed out and set up in our little trays. So first thing you want to do in your setup is determine what districts, zones, or areas you're going to be going through. So what you do is first you find your outskirts, set that aside, turn it upside down. That will be the last one you go through. Then you're going to take these and you're just going to kind of shuffle them up. All right, mix them up a little bit. And then you will take 3 of them at random. All right, and then you set the other ones off to the side. Make sure we got 3, not 4. Okay, and then you set those on top. These will be the 4 districts that you have to make it through to win the game. Now you will have, make sure you have your little player token, and you're going to set up your player reference card. So you're going to have 12 survivors. 2, 4, 6. So you'll start with your 12 survivors. You won't have any infected in the beginning, and then you'll have 6 ammo. All right, and then 6 supplies. And I will explain how those affect the game. So that is our starting resources and survivors. 12, 6, and 6. And again, we need our dice. Okay? So we can take these, and we'll set these off to here. Alright. Then we make sure we'll shuffle these up. So we shuffle up our event cards. Alright, set that there. That'll be a discard pile. We'll shuffle up our stress cards. Okay, and then again, that will be it. Discard. And then just pick one of your survivors. I'll go ahead and I'm going to pick the sergeant. Alright, and set these off to the side. And then kind of just let you know what his abilities are. So, the sergeant, army sergeant, combat experience, win, spending ammo, every 2 ammo spent give you an additional fight dice. So I'll go over that with the rules, but that's his special ability during the fight. And then he also has reckless. When rolling combat dice, if you do not have at least 1 6, you must use your reroll on 1 or more dice. And again, that will be explained in the rules section of it, and I will cover that. And also, one thing you want to use on your first game is the street map. It's kind of something that's, you know, when you're first learning the game, they recommend that you use this. And what this does is, when moving 3 or more, 3 of one kind of movement on the survivor dice adds an extra kind. You know, extra of that kind. So, and basically if you have, like an example, if you had 3 moves like this, well then you'd get 1 more of the same. So, and you'll see that in the rules that I cover. So, this will be your setup for your items and your cards, and then what we want to do is our very first card to start the game, or start the turn, is we flip over our first district card. Okay? Always look on the lower corner and see special rules. Add 5 minutes left to the zombie pool. So this is going to be your starting time. So you take your blue dice, set it to 5, put it right there. This is how much time you got that you need to get through this district, the suburbs, right? Then take our player token, set them here in the red. That's the starting space. And then we look at all of our exploration spaces. So there's 1 and there's 1, and we go ahead and randomly just grab 2 of these and put them on the exploration spaces like that. And these you will discover when you either land on it or walk past it. You'll flip it over and deal with it immediately. So we have our starting zone. This is going to be our path to get to the safe house of this district. Remember, we have 4 of those to get through. And we want to try and save all these survivors, get to the end. So right now we are set up, ready to go. Okay? And you are ready to play. So the next thing I'm going to do is cover the rules, and I'll go through a playthrough. Okay, let's cover the rules before I go through my playthrough. Let's see if I can get everything covered. Now I'm going to preface this that I'm not an expert at this game. I've played this a number of times, but I want to get down as well as I can, showing you the rules. And making sure I try and remember everything I'm supposed to do when I go through my playthrough. But I need to give you a good overview of what all the rules are for the game. So, first and foremost, the dice. These are critical. So, you have, again, zombie dice, scavenger dice, and 5 survivor dice. These are all referenced here, but I want to talk about each one individually. So, your zombie dice. So, every turn, you have a number of phases. There's 6 phases, but remember, there's a multiplayer game and a solo game, and I'm going to be playing the solo game. So when you play this solo, the very first phase of the turn, you ignore, because that's a multiplayer phase. So we're just going to ignore that. So as you're playing solo, you go straight to the second phase. And the second phase has to do with rolling your 7 dice. Okay? And that is the scavenger dice, 5 survivor, and the 1 zombie dice. So I'm going to, just as an example, I'm going to roll, and I'm going to talk about what these are and how they affect the game. So your zombie dice. Whenever you make your roll, this die immediately goes into the zombie pool. Now, the zombie dice have a reference. So if you roll a 1, you have 3 zombies, and it affects the time. So it would negate 1 on your time, right? And you can see that here. There's probably hard to see it from the video, but I'll say each one. If you roll a 1, it's 3 zombies and a negative to the time. If you roll a 2, it's just 3 zombies. Okay? If you roll a 2, or I mean a 3, it's 2 zombies. If you roll a 4, it's 2 zombies, and then 5 and 6 are 1 zombie. That's the number of zombies you have to defeat this turn. Okay, so that's this die, the red die. Then you have a scavenger die, right? Now, scavenger die can do a couple different things. If you roll a 1, it will turn a healthy survivor into an infected zombie, or an infected survivor. So if you ever roll 1, immediately you have to take a survivor, remove him, and put in an infected. Okay? You'll be able to re-roll it, but just remember that if you roll 1, remove and then add infected. If you roll a 2, that is a supply. So if you roll a 2 on this, you get to take a supply and add it to here. If you roll a 3, you get to add 2 supplies to this. So that's kind of nice. If you roll a 4 on your scavenger dice, this gets you another survivor. So you get to add a little guy here, right? That's with a 4. If you roll a 5, that gets you 2 ammo. Okay, so 5 on the scavenger dice. This is kind of like you're going through and you find stuff. You're scavenging as you're moving. So these are things that you can happen to come across. You know, supplies. If you roll a 5, you get your 2 ammo. And then if you roll a 6, that will either give you a movement or a fight dice. And that's your choice. It's an or. You could say, okay, I think I'll make that scavenger, I'm going to make it a movement die, a single move die, or a fight die. And again, I'll cover all those coming up. But that's your scavenger die. This can be re-rolled. And then you have your survivor dice. Now, the survivor dice, these are what can be fight dice, movement dice, and then negatives. So if you roll a 1, right, this could be a zombie, all right? If you roll a 2, this could end up being a negative to your time. So that's an effect on that. And again, these are all re-rollable. You get 2 more rolls, re-rolls, but there's things that will happen on your very first roll, but I'm just going to cover on each one. So you have a 1. 1 is a zombie, right? 2 is a negative to your time, right? And remember, if time goes down to 0, you lose the game. If you get a 3, that is a movement, okay? Single movement. And these are movement spaces. So 1 move would be from here to here, here to here. You got that. If you roll a 4, that's 2 movements, okay? If you roll a 5, 5 is a fight dice. It's a fist. You know, be looking like that on the engrave. So 5 is a fight dice, right? And 6 is a fight dice. Now they have different effects once you re-roll them during the combat, but just for this initial, you as a player, right, since you're moving through town, you are going to have zombies that are going to attack you. So fight dice are what are used to attack zombies, and movement dice are what get you through town. So you're really looking for 4, 5, 6, and 7, or 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 for movement and combat. These 1 and 2 are the negatives of these. But here's what happens. On your first roll, you can re-roll 2 times. You can freeze dice and unfreeze them anytime you want, but you do get to re-roll. So for an example, let's say I roll this scavenger dice with these, right? We have our roll. So we have a 1, a 4, and then we take our 5 survivor dice. So this one doesn't get re-rolled, comes in here. That means I have 1 zombie, but it also means I would minus the time. Okay? So that's an effect. Then we look at our scavenger dice. It's not a 1, so I don't have to worry about infecting a survivor. So this, I can leave it as this 4, which means I would get a survivor, or I can re-roll it. This is really good to leave as a 4. You get extra survivors. Now you take these individually, right? 3 and 4. Now on the first roll, you're okay. This, these 2 1s for survivor dice are zombies, but only if you leave it that way. You can re-roll them. A 3 is a move, and a 4 is a double move. So these you'd go, ooh, okay. I think I'll freeze these right now and see what I get with these. And then 6, that's a fight dice, so I'm going to freeze that one. I will re-roll these 2. Right? Now, I've re-rolled. If I had rolled a 1 as my re-roll, that now becomes a zombie. Okay? So, one of the things that we want to, it becomes, yeah. On a re-roll, you don't get to re-roll to skin. This would go right to the zombies. A 2, if I rolled a 2, this would become an effect on time if I left it that way, right? But I could re-roll this one again. I got a 3, so it would be a movement. So this process of roll and re-roll on your first turn is you roll all the dice, and then the zombie dice comes here, and then these, you have a chance to re-roll them. If you roll a 1 on the scavenger dice, you have to remove a healthy survivor and put in an infected, but then you can re-roll it. If you roll these 5 survivor dice, they aren't anything yet. You roll them, and then you can decide what you want to do, because these are, you can re-roll these. They can be anything initially, but remember, that 1's a zombie, this affects time. 5 and 6, those are fists, those are used for combat, right? And the main purpose of the game is you want to kill zombies with your fight dice and move to get through town, okay? So just remember, you're looking for movement dice and fight dice. Now, let's say we go, okay, I've got this, and I've got a 4, which is a double move, and then I roll this one again, and I got a 1. So this was, let's say this was my very first reroll. So, shoot. It's going to go to the zombie pool. Now, I could have froze these and said, well, I think I'll unfreeze them, and I have 1 more reroll that I can do. I will try and make these 5s 6, or get more movement. Right? So I got a 5 and I got a 2. Well, 2 on a survivor dice is effect time. That's my last reroll, so this now becomes a 3. That did not help me. So here we go. I've finished my rerolls, and this is my final result. So what I'll do is 2 affected the time, so that is taken out. This 4 would give me a survivor, right? So I'd add a survivor. This 4 would be a movement on the survivor dice, and this 5 and 6 would be fight dice, right? So then I've placed my dice, because I can't roll them anymore. Let's put this here, right? And then we go, okay, now we've gone through the initial for our rolls. Now we go to the, and I don't want to do that yet. Right, so we've decided that is going to be our scavenger dice, so we leave that, and this will take effect on the next phase, which is scavenging. So we've done all our rolls, we've set them where they're going to be, and we have decided that we're not going to re-roll this. That's what it's going to be. So now we go to phase 3, scavenging. This is where this die comes in. We look at all the different effects on scavenging dice, and I rolled a 4, which means I get a survivor. So that one would mean I get a survivor. That's the scavenging phase. This whole dice is used for the scavenging phase. Once we've done the scavenging phase, we do the movement. Now movement are these dice. And movement is 3 or 4 on these survivor dice. I rolled a 4, that's 2 movements. So the very first thing I'd get to do is go 1, 2, right? That's movement. But I passed up a zombie. And what does that mean? I got another zombie, right? And that would be adding. And what I like to do is, once I've rolled to see what the effect is, then I go ahead and start adding them. That means I have 2 zombies plus this one. Now you could, since you want to use, free these dice up, just take it away and add another one. And this tells me I have 3 zombies right now that I have to deal with, right? So I've moved, I've gone through. If I had landed on that zombie, it would have been 2 zombies that would go into the pool. Right now, it's just 1. But one thing I got to remember is, whenever you pass a zombie, you turn over a stress card. All right, so we have our stress card. We read it through and it says, they always turn. Now, play when. This is when the effect will happen if it depends on you gain an infected survivor. So, let's say I had rolled the 1 on the scavenger dice, which means I remove a survivor and add an infected. Well, I would play this effect when you gain an infected survivor. If I gain an infected survivor, then this effect would occur, right? But since right now I haven't had an infected survivor, I leave this out for this entire turn, because later on I might get an infected person, and then that will have an effect. So we'll go ahead and just leave this right here, because it can take effect throughout this whole turn. All right, and remember, every time you go through a zombie, you got to turn over a stress card, but it just lasts for this turn. So we've done our move. Now, once we've finished all of our movement, we go through and we do the fight, right? So for the fight dice, we see how many fight dice we have, right? Now, the 5 and the 6 don't matter right now. They will matter after the rerolls, right? We know that we have 2 fight dice, and we can re-roll these to try and get 2 fights or 3 for combat. Okay, and that depends on, if you roll a 5, it's 1. If you roll a 6, you get 2. But I can add dice to this by using ammo, right? For every ammo I use, I get to add a fight dice to the roll, right? If I had 2, I'd get 2 to this, okay? Now, I come back here and I look at my special ability. When spending ammo, every 2 ammo spent gives me an extra fight dice. So I could look at here and go, okay, I have 3 zombies I have to defeat. Now, the way these get used is after I roll these, right, to see what my actual combat dice are going to be, I need to kill 3 zombies to clear these zombies. Well, that would mean I would need to roll either 2 6s or a 5 and a 6. Well, that's kind of tough. So you might want to take an ammo, right? Get yourself an extra one, and that means I have the possibility of rolling 3 6s, which is 6 zombies. Remember, a 6 does 2 zombies, a 5 does 1 zombie. That's what it kills. So I'm giving myself a little bit extra by using an ammo. I don't need to use 2 and get 3. That's just overkill. So, but there are things that can happen when you roll these. So when you do the fight dice. So right now we have our dice, and we can go through and do the combat phase. Okay? That's what these dice represent. And the way that works is you take these dice for the combat phase, right? And you roll them. Now you look at what you got, right? And on the first roll, I have 3, 3, and 5. Okay. The only ones that have an effect to kill zombies are 4, 5, and 6. And we'll make sure of that. Just, I don't want to give too much. Okay, so for combat, just to make sure, every die in the fight pool gives 1 fight dice. You can spend ammo to add additional dice. So You may re-roll dice a total of 3 times. Okay? If a re-rolled dice shows a 1, immediately lose time. Alright. I didn't roll any 1s, and I could either say, do I want to roll this one more time? Now, I know that this is going to kill 1 zombie. It's not bad. I really want 6s, though. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to re-roll these. Beautiful. Now, I rolled a 1. And if a re-rolled dice shows a 1, immediately lose a time. So that means this goes to 2. But I now have 3 fight, which means 3 kill zombies, right? 5 does 1, 6 does 2. So I add those up. I have 3 zombies. I have 3 kills. That removes that, and that removes that. So for the combat phase, you're basically rolling the dice that you have that are basically combat dice. You get to re-roll them 2 times, right? You have your first roll, and you can see what they are. If you re-roll again and you get a 1, it's going to negate the time. You can freeze, unfreeze, but you want to make sure those last dice that you save, however time those 2 times you re-roll, 4, 5, and 6 is what you really want. Because 4 and a 5 kills 1 zombie and a 6 kills 2. So just remember that. A 5 kills 1, a 6 kills 2. Okay? And a 4 will also kill 1. So those are the things you're going to remember with your zombie dice or your combat dice. Now we have the final phase, which is the safe house. So once you've gone through the combat, right, and you've killed your zombies, now if you're in the combat phase and there are any zombies left, so let's say you killed 3 but there was actually a start of 5. Well, I was able to kill 3, so I knocked this down to 2. The problem with that is any zombies that are left, they kill survivors. So if I have 2 zombies left, it ends up killing 2 survivors. So you really want to make sure that you have enough fight dice to destroy the zombies that are in the pool. And zombies are always getting added. They start with your zombie dice. They add up when you go through a zombie. You might hit exploration that'll add a zombie dice. You might even get survivor dice that you roll a 1 and it gets added to the zombie pool. So you really got to try and kill all those zombies, or this is what's going to start weeding down your survivors. Okay, so any zombies that survive the attack during combat will remove survivors. Okay, and just to reiterate, a 6 kills 2 zombies, a 4 and a 5 kills 1 zombie. Okay. Now let's talk about the safe house. If you're not at the safe house when you get to this phase of the turn, you just ignore it. You pass it and go to the next turn. If you are on the safe house, okay, and you've gone through your turn where you've had the zombies in the pool, you've gone through and killed everybody, killed the zombies and removed your survivors. As long as you've got at least 1 survivor, you're going to go through the safe house phase and try and basically feed those survivors, deal with the affected, and then get past that safe house so you can go to the next district. And what will happen is you will draw an event card, right? And you keep drawing until you draw the one that's based on the district you're in. So in this case, this current safe house, which is on suburbs or barricade house. So that's what you're looking for. Then you'll go through and deal with what's on that event, right? Then you want to spend supplies. Now, you spend supplies based on, it's equal to half the number of survivors. So, if I have, in this case, let's say I had my 12, which I think we have, so there's 6. If I had 12 survivors, I need to spend 6 supplies to keep these guys alive. So, for every unit of supplies you lack, you lose 1 healthy survivor. So if I can't supply the amount of supplies to keep these guys alive, I'm going to start losing survivors. And then you have to deal with infected. Now there's an infected role. So let's say, for example, I had an infected here. I take my black die, right? And I go, okay, I have one infected, and you have to do this for each infected. You roll the dice, right? And then you deal with the chart here for infected. If, for example, I roll a 1, that means the infected turns zombie, killing one survivor and infecting another. You lose one healthy and one infected survivor and then infect a healthy survivor. Right? So that's if you roll a 1. If I roll a 2, the infected turns zombie, infecting a healthy survivor. So you lose one infected survivor and infect a healthy survivor. If you roll a 3, the infected survivor dies and you lose one infected survivor. So you would basically lose that guy. If you roll 4, 5, or 6, nothing happens. But you roll this infected die for every infected survivor. So whenever a healthy survivor turns into an infected, once you get to the safe house, you have to go through each one of those. And once you go through those things, if you survive, if you have enough survivors left, then you will turn over another district card and start again through the next one. So, and again, remember, the object of this game is to get your survivors through 4 districts, get to the last extraction zone, and get away with your survivors. If you ever go down in time, if this ever goes down past 1 and you haven't reached the safe house, you lose the game. If you ever lose all your survivors, you lose the game. So, let's see. I think we've covered everything. We've covered movement, combat, zombies, dealing with the stress. So, again, stress cards stay out for that turn, and once you finish that turn, go ahead and put it in the discard pile. So that's it. That's those are basically the rules. I think covered when you're moving. If you go through the exploration, flip it over, that effects happen immediately. Go ahead and discard that. I think that's about it. Just one of the key things is when you're playing is try to remember all the effects that occur based on your character and any items you have. Those are benefits you don't want to forget. So also you want to remember that when you're going past a zombie, don't forget to pick up a stress card, leave it out. It could occur throughout the turn. And when you get to the safe house, make sure that you pull the event for that safe house and then go through what the event says. Right? So I think we've got all the rules down. I'm going to go through and do a playthrough. Hello everybody, this is Joseph Propati, and this is the section where I'm going to do the playthrough for Dice of the Living Dead. Again, this is 2nd edition. I'm going to be doing the solo version, so that means I'll be ignoring round 1, which is the change party leader. That's for multiplayer. So basically when you're doing the solo mode in this, you just do rounds 2 through 6. And let me refresh the rounds. So you have round 2 is roll the dice. 3 is scavenging. 4 is movement. 5 is combat. And then 6 is safe house. So we're all set up. We've got our first district card that we're going to go through. We have our character. Everything's shuffled, ready to go. Let's start off. So since we bypass round 1, we go straight to 2. That is roll the dice. So when you roll your dice, and first let me set up our time. So we look on here, we have a time of 5. Take your blue dice, put it on the 5, and that is how much time I have to get through this district. So for round 2, we roll our dice, which means we do our black scavenger dice, the zombie dice, and then the 5 survival dice, or survivor dice. So go ahead and re-roll all of them. Put that there. Alright, so we always take our zombie dice, put it in the pool. Let's go ahead and see what 1 is. 1 for zombie dice means 3 zombies, which I will change that to 3. And it also is a deduction in time. So we knock our time down. That was a terrible roll. Okay, then we have our dice, which we can re-roll. So we have 2 more rolls that we can make on this. But first we want to separate what we have here. So we have fighting dice, right? These fight dice would go in the fight pool if I kept these. So 5 and 6 are fight dice, 3 and 4 are movement dice, 1 and 2 are bad. So we want to try to avoid that. So remember, the purpose of the game is we want to get through this district as fast as we can. So that means as many movements as you can get, which are 3 and 4 on the survivor dice. And then if you have a lot of zombies you got to fight, then you want a lot of fight dice, which are 5 and 6. Scavenging dice, 4 is a great number because this means I get a survivor. So on this part right now, I can re-roll or freeze all these dice. Okay, so this one I'm going to freeze. I like that I have 4, and this is a double move. So I'm not going to risk anything. This is actually a good roll. I'm going to leave this as it is. So this would give me 2 movement, and then I have 4 fight dice to work with. I wouldn't even have to use any ammo. So I'm going to freeze all these. I'm not going to do any re-rolls. We're going to go right to scavenging phase. And that means we put these where they're supposed to be, and this is our scavenging dice. So based on what this is what's going to determine our scavenging. And since I got a 4, that is get a survivor. So I'd get to add a survivor to my group. Take that off. So that's scavenging. And then we go straight to movement. This determines how many move I have. So I did have 1 die, which is a 4, which means 2 move. If you look on here, 4 for 2 move. So we go ahead and we move our 2. Now remember, when you land on or pass a zombie, you're going to add to the zombie pool. So that means we now have 4 zombies. And when you pass a zombie, you pull a stress card. Now, the way a stress card works again is you read the card. This is Hoarder. It says play win, and this is a condition. So no food or ammo are gained from the scavenger dice. Now, I just did my scavenger dice, and I didn't get any food or supplies. Supplies or ammo. So that means this is going to take effect. So the effect is, afraid to starve, you gorge on the supplies and lose 1 supply. So, fortunately, the effect on this one, we lost a supply. But that means this is discarded. So remember, whenever you pass or land a zombie, got to pull a stress card. So that's our movement. Take our movement dice out. Now we're going to go into the combat. That's round 5. So combat is based on the combat dice we have, which we are going to re-roll, and then it will determine how many zombies that we can kill. Now, zombie dice, or the combat dice, we want 5s and 6s. 4, 5s, and 6s. 4s and 5s kill 1 zombie. 6 kills 2 zombies. Okay? Now, I can add to this if I want. Remember, every ammo I use will get me another survivor dice or fight dice. So I could add 2, get 2 more. Now, this is where these spare dice would come in. So you're not limited to the dice that you have. If I wanted to use all these ammo, I could use all 6. I just grab 6 extra dice. So you just got to remember, these dice can be added to based on what supplies you have. So I think this is pretty good. I have 4 zombies. I got possibility of killing 8 because I could roll 4 6s. So what we're going to do is we're going to do our first roll. Okay. And this is a good roll. So right off the bat, I got 2 6s, a 4, and a 5. Awesome roll. Because that's 2, 2, 3, and 4. So 2, 4, 5, 6. I can kill 6 zombies right off the bat. So I don't have to worry about re-rolling, because if I re-rolled and I got a 1, that would be a deduction of time. So don't want that. So we are going to, and remember, I always got to look at my character. Remember, he has this reckless. When rolling combat dice, if you do not have at least 1 6, you must re-roll 1 or more dice. Now, I got a 6, so I'm good. So I think I'm going to freeze these, keep them, and I'll go straight into combat, kill as many zombies as I can. So this kills 2, and that kills 4, and I had plenty. So, nice thing about this, since I didn't leave any zombies, they're not going to take any of my survivors. That's good. Now when we go to the last 6th round, since we are not on the safe house, we just ignore that round. So let's go ahead and we'll start a new round. So what we do, roll our dice. Alright, so man, I'm getting lucky with these 4s. Just so you know, I think that's one of the best that you can roll on the scavenger because it keeps giving you more survivors. But also ammo is a good one too because when you roll a 5, it'll give you 2 ammo. So first thing we always do is we grab our zombie dice, put that down, and then we see what it is. That is 1 zombie. So we go ahead and change that. Then we look at our scavenger dice. I don't think I'm going to roll this because I like getting more survivors. So I will freeze that. Then we'll look at these. I don't want to leave on 1s. I'm definitely going to keep these because those are movement, which are double. So that would be 2 and 4 movement. I'm going to save those. I'll freeze those. And a fight dice I'll freeze. I'm definitely rolling these again. So the first reroll, oh, going for that. Perfect. So we're going to get a big move on this. And it's also going to pay off for our smart map. So I will freeze all my dice, and that will be my roll. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is go to scavenger, or scavenging round. We have a 4, which means I get a survivor. That is scavenging. Then we go to movement. Now, this is where the street map comes in. So I rolled 3 4s for movement. And this is when moving, 3 of one kind of movement on the survivor dice, which we have 3, adds an extra of that kind. So, cool thing about that is I have another 4. That's beautiful. All right. So we'll do our movement. This is going to be big. So we've got 1 2. We've got an exploration token. We'll flip it over. This gives us 1 survivor and 1 zombie. All right. Okay, then we have 2 4. We passed a zombie, so that means we got another zombie. Plus we have a stress card. We'll go ahead and read this. Suspicion. Play when a new member joins the party. We just got a new member. Okay, so let's take these out since we did those 2 move. Since this now takes effect, we roll a die. 2. If the result is less than the amount of infected survivors, lose 1 infected survivor. We have no infected, so we don't worry about this roll. So we can discard that. And we do our next move. Another 2. 1 2. Landed on a zombie, so that means this goes to 4. Alright, and we get another stress card. We have to hurry. So, play when you move 1 space or less on a turn. We've moved more than 1, so this will have no effect. We've already up to 6. Then we do our last one. Boom, boom. Let's see what this is. Ammo. We get 1 ammo. Beautiful. So, that turned out to be a good one. Now that was huge. That really got us through that district really fast. So that was a definite bonus. No more move. We'll go into combat. So now we only have 2 combat dice. We have 4 zombies. I don't like those odds. So I think what I'm going to do is, since I have my sergeant, I could take 2 ammo and I get 2 plus an extra one. So this gives me 5 fight dice. Okay, 5 combat dice. So what we'll do is we will do our first roll. All right, we got 1 6 4 4. Now, what we have to remember is we're looking for 4s, 5s, and 6s. 4 and 5 kills 1 zombie. A 6 kills 2 zombies. And then here's also what I have to remember is, since I'm using the sergeant, if I don't roll a 6, I have to re-roll 1 or more. So, lucked out, got a 6, so I don't have to re-roll, but I'm going to because I'm going to keep these, and I don't want to leave these. So now here's that first re-roll. If I roll a 1, it's going to cause a time issue. So it's okay. I don't want to freeze them. I got to roll them. Now I'm on that same boat. These are my reroll. If I didn't get a 6, I have to reroll one. Well, that's cool. I'll keep that. That will kill one zombie. I'll reroll this. Didn't get a 6. So we had our first roll, second roll, and that was the third. So that's finished with my rolls. That doesn't apply anymore because you only get 3 tries. So 3 does not do anything. These are now my combat dice that kill. So now we go into combat phase and we start to kill, add up to do our kill. So a 6 is a 2, 3, 4, 5. Nice, we killed all the zombies. So we cleared that, which is nice. Did we get the safe house? No, we're not. So bypass that turn or that phase. Let's go to phase 2 again. And that is roll all your dice. Now we're looking good. We got 4 left on our time. We're almost there. All we got to do is move 3 spaces. So what we do is we take our first zombie dice. All right. Oh, let's get rid of one of these. Let me roll this again because I'm only supposed to roll 5. All right. So first we put our zombie dice in the pool. 4 means 2 zombies. So let's change that to a 2. Then we have a 3 on our scavenger, which means that would be 2 on the supplies. Not bad. So I'll freeze it for now. I can re-roll if I want, but that's not bad because that comes in handy. I'm going to really need these when I get to that safe house because remember, half the amount of survivors I need that much food. So we'll save that. 3 scavenging, that will give 2 food or 2 supplies. So let's go ahead and look at these. We've got 6 a fist, that's combat. 3 is a move. And then 2 are time. So we want to definitely re-roll these. Yeah, let's go ahead and we'll freeze these for right now. We'll roll these. That's another combat and another move. So that would only 1, 2. We want one more move. Got one last re-roll. I will re-roll one of these. 3 or 4 would be good. Darn, 2. So 2 is time. It's a negative on the time. So we'll drop that to 3. All right. So we have our move, our combat dice, and our scavenger. So we're locked. We're finished with our dice rolls. We will do our scavenger turn, which means we look at 3 and we get 2 supplies. Right. So that's scavenging. Then we go to movement. Now only had 2. 3, so we got 1, 2, past the zombie, so that means this goes to 3, and we draw a stress. So, no, not that way. So play win. You have passed 2 or more zombie icons on the board in a single turn. We've only passed 1, so we'll leave it out there, but it's not really going to have any effect because we're past our zombie, so we can discard this. So we've added zombie, we've done our stress. Let's go ahead and finish our move. And we go into combat. So we have 2 combat dice and we have 3 zombies. I think I'm going to add 1 more ammo to add 1 more dice. And we'll go ahead and do our first roll. We got a 1, 3, and 6. 6 is great. That will kill 2 of them. Let's roll one of these. So if we get another 1, it's going to be a time. So perfect. 2 4s. We're going to lock these. So now we're going to combat phase into the actual damage of killing zombies. So we got 1, 2, 3, and 4. Cool. Killed all the zombies. No survivors being taken. Didn't get the safe house. We're on our last round, which means roll the dice. I think we're going to make it through this district. Okay, so we roll all of our dice. We've got our zombie. All right, and our survivors. So first thing we do is put our zombie out. And this is kind of a tough one. That's kind of a bummer. This is 3 zombies, and then it affects our time. Not good. Good thing we're going to end it. Hopefully we won't get any more time. So a 6 on the scavenger means I can either have it as a fight or a move. I think I'm going to use it as a move. So we'll put that in there for now. Then we have a combat dice, and then we want to get rid of these 2. So we'll freeze these for now and we'll re-roll these. Combat dice, combat dice. 3 is a move. Perfect. We only need 1 move. Now I could make this, now that we've done with the movement, I could, since it's an or, it can be combat or move. Now, I'm going to make it a combat because I don't need the move. So I don't have to decide on that until the scavenging phase. Now, this is all done, I'm going to do the scavenging phase. So since I rolled a 6, that's either a fight or a move, and I'm going to make it a fight. Should I make it a fight? I have plenty here, but it means I don't have to use any ammo. So we'll make it a fight. That means I get an extra fight dice, right? But first we're going to go through and we're going to go and do our move. Well, that's our 1 move. We made it to the safe house. So beautiful. There we got our special rules for the safe house. But even though we're at the safe house, we still got to go through all the combat and everything. So we'll finish our move, right? And we're going to go through and we're going to roll our combat dice. All right, so nice. We've got our 6, so our sergeant's covered. We've got a 4, that'll skills. We got, so far that's 5, but I don't want to leave these, so we're going to re-roll these. All right, we got a 2 and a 4. That's good. Now a 2 is a time. Nope, 2 is not a time. So 2. We're good. It would be nothing. So just as long as we didn't roll a 1, because we only had 2 left. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to freeze these and place them here. So that has no effect. We're going to finish up our combat, which means we've got 3 zombies we've got to kill. We've got 2, 4, 5, and 6. These are all gone. So we killed all the zombies while we're in the safe house, which is good, right? So now that we're on the safe house, this is when we keep drawing our event card until we pick up. So we look at this, sure enough, here's our barricade house. Now we read what it says. This says, the strife. As night closes in, a fight breaks out about what to do with your infected. A couple of vocal party members want to leave them to fend for themselves. Choose A or B. A is lose all infected, then roll a die for each infected lost, or on a 1, lose 1 survivor. B, expel the ones causing strife. Lose 2 survivors. Now, basically, I don't have any infected, so if I lose all my infected, which I don't have, then I roll a die for each infected lost, which is 0. On a 1, lose 1 survivor. So I guess I'd roll 1 die, and if I rolled a 1, I'd lose a survivor. Didn't lose a survivor, so I'll go with that. So we've done our event card. Now we go to spend supplies. Now remember, you have to spend the amount of supplies that's half the amount of survivors you have. So I've gained some survivors. So I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15. And I'm not sure if it's rounded up. I think so. Half the number of survivors, healthy and infected, rounded down. Cool. So 15, 14. Half that is 7. So I have 2, 4, 6. Wow, that takes all my supplies. So there's a good and a bad of having a lot of survivors. Okay, but I was able to supply all the supplies I needed to keep them alive. Otherwise, you start losing survivors, right? Because you can't feed them. And then the last part would be infected. Now I don't have any infected, so I don't have to do any infected rolls. So with that, I've made it to the safe house. I've cleared this first card. And then what we would do is remove this, pull over our next card, which is the library. We would take our time, right? We see it should be set to 4. Take our guy, put him on the red, and this is one of those that has 2 paths. So then we would take our exploration tokens. All right, I think that's it. 3 exploration tokens. Okay, and then we would go right into rolling the dice, starting the turn. So I think this was enough for me to go through one district. I don't need to go through the whole game. I will do another full playthrough on a separate video, but I don't want to make this really long. But that's how you play Dice of the Living Dead, 2nd edition. Wonderful game. I think Mads did an awesome job. The art is incredible, and the play is very smooth. I hope the rules made sense. I tried to make sure I remembered all the little things I could. Again, if I made any mistakes, go ahead and point them into the comment section. Let me know. Point them out to me. But I hope I covered everything. And if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comment section. If you like what you saw, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos that I do, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and hit the bell. And you'll be able to be notified on any of my next videos. So I appreciate you watching. This is Mads game, Dice of the Living Dead. There you go. It is a PNP that you can get off Board Game Geek, and I highly recommend it. Thanks again for watching.